Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Donald Vorgas.
I'm Joan Davos.
Ooh.
And I'm Sharon P.
Oh, I like you as Sharon.
Right, yeah.
It makes
Sharon. Spelled P-E-E.
Oh, God.
Oh,
why,
no, I don't
Sharon?
like that.
Oh, no.
It's just what I was born with. What
Yeah,
do you want me
I
to say?
think so. The P family, huh?
Yeah, the
Do you
P
ever think
family.
about that, though? People who have, like, really, like...
Weird last name.
I gotta be careful here. I've gotten in trouble for this before.
Uh-oh.
Let's go with names like, I don't know. I mean, like, here's one that is a name. Richard. It goes by Dick.
You're choosing Dick, though. I've never understood. I think it was way more popular back in the day. I don't even know how popular Richard is these days.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So all the
back in the
Richards,
day.
they went as Dick. And it didn't mean
Not
nothing.
all of them.
Well, a lot of them. And it didn't mean nothing bad. But then they acted like assholes, and that's how we got to you're being a dick.
Some Richard screwed it up for everybody else.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah, maybe Dick didn't even mean that when they first originally gave them that nickname.
must not have
Somebody
been,
can fact check us on that.
Yeah,
Maybe
someone
if
tell
it
us.
did, that's a crazy choice. Just like, nah, I ain't Richard.
Yeah.
I'm penis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cocky, that's another one that kind of has dick in it for no reason. That's right. We're starting the show with dick jokes. It's not illegal.
Yeah, we are.
Kind of makes sense for the theme today.
Yeah, I mean, football.
Oh, yeah, we're doing a football theme.
Classic football.
You got
Final countdown to the wrong theme. Shannon!
Oh.
That's a totally different thing.
We should be careful.
ESPN or something.
No, the final countdown is a very litigiously protected song. The band hates that song and does come after people.
Do you think even
using
humming it
Maybe we
horribly?
shouldn't.
maybe.
Off key?
I know they hate it when people use it. It's crazy expensive to use it at all.
Can we? I can't remember the NFL one, which is also very
Well, okay, so there's,
Yeah, it's something.
each network has their few. My favorite is the "Are you ready for some football?" because it's so
I like that one.
wild and absurd, not obscene. But that was the old Monday night theme, and now we have Carrie Underwood's the Sunday night football theme, which is like. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but it really gets you pumped up, and it's just Carrie Underwood talking about how long she's been waiting for the football game to start. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night, and then she has like a little has like a little rhyme about the teams playing, which is always funny when the team sucks because she'll have to figure out a way to. It'll be like the Dallas Cowboys are ready for a showdown, and then she'll skip to like and the Jets are there too. They're gonna do their best. If you can't tell, I'm the only football fan on the dais today.
No, I was actually trying to think of some football memories I have. One is I went to the Dallas Cowboys stadium.
Really?
And I don't remember why.
Do you remember what year it was?
It was the big. It was
the new one,
Chungus
Jerry World. Chungus.
Chungus.
And they maybe it was just a tour of the stadium, but I remember the screen was very, very impressive. The screen was very big. And I think they said the Jonas Brothers were there. I might be mixing a couple different stories. I might be lying. But somebody.
Could have been the forum.
Could have been the Jonas Brothers. Could have been the forum that I was just at. Almost certainly that's the truth. But somebody was there. This is true. Somebody. And they were playing video games on that tremendous
I've
screen
seen when
there,
people do that.
It's
Yeah.
classic.
And that is, I think that, I think one of the reasons we decided to do this theme is whether or not you're a football fan. It's an 18-week long season, so it's the shortest out of the big four sports. It's really not that long compared to baseball, basketball, or hockey.
Yeah.
So it goes by pretty quick. But even it's sort of like the Oscars. If the Oscars went on for 4.5-ish months, it's everybody is aware of it. You're still, even if you don't like football, you're around it so much through that period of time, and it really brings out the worst in people sometimes. So seems pretty apt for us to talk about on this show.
I got a great Super Bowl Sunday memory.
Oh,
that was
goodness.
when I was at the ski resort and there was no one there because it was Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
if you don't care about the
nice.
game, you can really, the world is your oyster on Super Bowl Sunday. I skipped the Falcons, New England Patriots one where it actually wound up being a crazy game. Patriots came back from a crazy deficit, but I just went shopping and like did my own thing because I didn't really care about the game. It was like, oh, whatever. And yeah, total ghost town. Just me and the people working. So I had a great time.
How about you, Shan?
Any football memories?
Yeah. I was in Paris, one of those annoying trips I have to take when you're me. And anyway.
Yep, that's me.
Well, you have the good fortune of being, by association, a Philadelphia Eagles supporter.
Yes, I'm an Eagles fan, but I don't know that I would, I don't know much about it at all.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
That's all you need to know.
EAGLES, Eagles.
See,
That's good.
I like Philly fans get a lot of flack, but I enjoy that unbridled chaos they bring to the party. It's fun when they're not mad at you.
Yeah, well, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2018, and my grandfather was on hospice during that time.
Oh, okay.
He was a big Eagles fan. And he was like kind of taking a while to pass away. It was like we thought it was going to happen a lot quicker.
He was hanging out.
Yeah, he was hanging out for a while. I feel like it was going on like almost 2 weeks. And the family, like it was like every day it was like, no, like he's still here, but he couldn't speak or anything. Like he was very much like he was like slowly dying.
Okay.
And so then the Eagles played and they won. And when the halftime, it was Justin Timberlake, nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. And he was like moving his wrists, like dancing to it, because he wasn't like doing any other movement at all. And he was like dancing, and then they won, which was super exciting. And then he passed away the next day. So we always say that he hung on to see the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
I think
That's
there is
cute.
something, and we should specify because we've got listeners all over the place. This is American football that we're talking about, which a lot of people don't know.
There's no other football.
Hey now.
No, there's not. What is there?
Soccer?
Yeah, the soccer.
It's called football everywhere.
It's called soccer, but
you're
no.
naughty.
That's not no. That's not the point I was
He
making.
just likes riling them up.
There is no other. I'm talking about football. Like nobody else plays football. Some people play rugby, but nobody plays football.
Well, and
Not
But
soccer.
American football.
That's what I mean. There's no other football like that.
in
It's not
the
like
world.
Yes.
They don't play at other places.
I don't think they play.
They
other
actually,
places.
so I do have some intel on that. It has gotten very popular in Germany. That they do have, there are, leagues not as typically mostly, and I think there's a league in Italy. I believe there's an American football league in Japan, not nearly as popular as the NFL. But in the UK now, it's also very popular, and it is sort of tongue in cheek, but the NFL will send, I believe they're doing 2 games a year in the UK and 1 game in Germany and then 1 in Mexico each year. But in the UK fans will show up and they will go absolutely nuts for it. And it is kind of them being like, we don't really care. This is just nuts. This is a crazy
just making
sport.
fun of you.
They go absolutely crazy for the kickers, which I think is fun for them. Like they will get rowdy whenever the kickers come out because it's closer to their beloved football. But I think
it's very hard for the British mind to understand American football. Have you guys been seeing these memes?
No.
There's like a meme going around, and it's like the European mind can't comprehend this, and then they post like the most horrible picture of like a Denny's by an ExxonMobil gas station by a Taco Bell. Like, it's just like horrible huge streets.
Well, and when you think about it too, the entire game is based entirely off the imperial system. There's no metric measurements in football, so it is very absurd.
That makes more sense. Yeah, that's the foot in football.
Yeah, it's based on yards.
It's based on yards.
Yeah, which is
it's
absurd.
like a commercial for the imperial system.
Yeah, it's what's keeping us talking about it.
America.
There we go. So I actually have a deep cut for us because we are millennials, but a lot of our listeners are Gen Zs. And so
they are. Oh, we're so cool.
Don't say that.
I don't know about that, but
we're not hip.
I don't know.
No,
I think
we're not
we're
very
starting to
hip.
age out of that. But we were alive for, I think, probably the most memorable Super Bowl because it was bigger than the Super Bowl.
I know what
it
you're
was so much bigger than the Super Bowl.
Hit him with it, TV.
What is it? You don't know. Shannon doesn't know.
No.
Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake.
Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, baby.
Oh, speaking of.
I'm ready to say
Nipplegate.
9/11 is at the top of the list because that was Newsboy. But then Titan is like maybe farther down the list. And then, it's America, right? So the wars are like way down low. Like the news is like, yeah, we're at war anyways. Janet Jackson, JT, because it was this whole. So I mean, refresh my memory, but her shirt came off.
Timberlake ripped off.
He ripped it off.
Ripped off her top,
and it exposed something.
Pasty.
A pasty.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Timberlake has gotten away with a lot through his career, namely, the treatment of Britney Spears through their whole breakup, their whole dating portfolio. He got off scot-free through that whole ordeal. And I'm still flabbergasted that Janet Jackson is the one who had all this criticism.
Her career was basically ruined.
Falling down on her. And Justin Timberlake's the one who is, and I don't know if this was,
I thought it was intentional.
I've heard people
there's
say
a lot of different.
Yeah, I've heard people say it wasn't planned. I've heard other people say it was planned. But regardless, it was still an act of very suddenly and unexpectedly ripping off a piece of woman's clothing. And I feel like he should have been the one to take the flack for that.
Exactly. Have you naked by the end of this song? And I'm looking at a picture of it now, and it appears that it was a ring around her nipple, so you can actually see her nipple.
Yeah.
See?
Okay.
And so it looks like it's like a sun ring. I thought it was a pasty when I was younger, because we were all like 14 when this happened, like 13, 14.
Not nearly as controversial, but there is a halftime show. I can't remember which game it was, but Aerosmith, NSYNC, and I want to say Nelly all performed at the same halftime show together, and no one knew what was going on. Like there was almost no coordination.
That sounds like it won't work.
It just, and you could see it in their faces too. Like Steven Tyler just kind of looking over, and the rest of them just like, we're getting through it, boys. Let's just try to get to the end of this.
Imagine how bad do you feel bombing the Super Bowl? That's a bomb.
I think that it was such a big spectacle that you didn't really register, oh, this is awful. But when you go back and look at it, you're just like, who put this together?
But there was the one that was headlining.
I think Aerosmith was the main one, and the rest were kind of joining.
I love Nelly. My sister and I are always like, bring Nelly back. We try and start the movement.
Bring Nelly back.
Bring Nelly back. Hashtag bring Nelly back.
That's why you're not hip. But anyway, I wanted to go specifically to that though, because I think it is relevant to this podcast, because it was there was moral outrage around it, which I guess it really wasn't that substantial, but people were basically saying like, the Hollywood liberals are right? Like,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
No, it dominated the news cycle for 2-3 months.
So much misogyny and they were, the Christians were up in arms about nudity being the children.
Yeah.
Well, now we cut live to the soldiers in Iraq who are doing something we am sure it is for good reasons.
Yeah. And now we're back to the game.
Tom Brady looking fantastic out there today. Support the troops.
He kisses his son on the mouth. That's my only football joke. Anyway, guys, please rate, review, subscribe, listen on Spotify, and join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/AITA pod. Just popped over 180 bonus episodes.
A lot of bones.
Got Jake and Shannon in the
We're
Discord.
spilling tea over there, honey.
Yeah.
You get the good stuff in the boneyards.
So you better subscribe.
I'm actually running a new deal in my DMs. If you're a Patreon and you got questions about the show or whatever, I'll fucking voice memo you, send you a little tiny podcast. It's a 1-minute podcast. Yeah, it's kind of nice.
You're doing that?
Yeah. Well, why are you looking at me all sus like?
I'm just worried about some of your interactions with the listeners these
Shannon,
days.
what? Don't say that. What are you talking about? What the fuck does that mean?
You're sending mussy pics. You're sending lullabies now.
I had one woman simp. That's it. The rest are guys.
I am not up to speed on the lullaby situation.
Oh, these voice memos are just lullabies.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for Simpso, ladies, if you want to see these muscles.
I don't think that's how you get them.
I'm working hard. If you guys want to see, I'll send you them right after pool day. You'll see these biceps. They inflate like balloons. All right, guys, we got a juicy ad for I'm compliment fishing. I am. I'm going out to the sea, baby. I'm going out.
We know how you feel about that. You're being a hypocrite now.
I know. That's true. Our second story of the day. AITA for not wanting to go watch my daughter cheerlead at football games. But first, folks, AITA for choosing a football game over a wedding. So my wife's friend has a wedding coming up this Sunday that is a few hours away from where we live. The bride is a close friend of my wife's from college, but to be honest, she kind of sucks.
Jesus Christ.
When we RSVP'd a year ago, I wasn't exactly thrilled to be traveling 3 hours and spending hundreds of dollars for someone I don't even really like. The other thing is that when I RSVP'd a year ago, the NFL schedule wasn't out. I know that sounds silly, but for anyone who follows football, this is a special week in sports history because Tom Brady is returning to play for the New England Patriots. Tom Brady playing the game. I want to see. This game is monumental. I finally got Jake.
You went so deep into it.
This game is monumental and is going to be quite literally historical. A once in a lifetime game for any football fan.
Oh, wow.
And especially a diehard Patriots fan like myself. I can't miss it. I totally forgot about the wedding day until a few weeks ago. And when I realized the date, I was devastated, but I didn't know how to approach the wife. I knew it would look bad, so last week I reached out to her gay best friend, Tito, and asked if he had any of vodka fame. I don't know. And asked if he had any plans for, or is that Tino? What am I?
Tino, you're right.
Oh, it was Tino. And asked if he had any plans for this Sunday. He didn't and was actually thrilled at the idea of accompanying my wife as a +1 because he loves dancing. So I floated this to her. She flipped her shit. She told me it was rude and disrespectful and also downplayed the importance of the game. Just like I knew she would. I told her Tito was happy to attend, but she just gawked at me and then started crying. I know I look like the asshole here, but am I? I'm not friends with the bride, my wife is, and watching Brady growing up has affected my life more than the bride ever has or ever will. I also get that bailing on a wedding costs the bride and groom money. So to prevent that, I went out of my way to find a replacement. I told my wife she could tell the bride I was sick and nobody's going to question that these days, but she's still livid. So AITA, or am I falling victim to a belief system that simply views football as a stupid game and nothing more? Like I said, this game is literally once in a lifetime, something I tell my kids about.
Okay, Tom Brady fans give me the ick.
I was just going to say, it is crazy that we found the most emotionally intelligent New England Patriots fan. That is amazing that we found the smartest one in terms of feelings.
I have a thought on that, though.
Okay.
As I was thinking, like, I was trying to gender flip this. I think my issue is that, like, it seems a little parasocial, right? Like, he doesn't actually, right? Like, if he said, like, me and my dad, we watch Brady from when I was a young boy and I want to watch this game with him, I would just be so much more like, oh, bro, I totally get that. This is like an important bonding moment for you, or you and your, not necessarily your dad, right? But like, it's a little like he's not even talking about anybody else, just him and Brady. I'm like, but it does seem a little.
He could just go to a bar by himself and post up and watch this game and be satisfied. And I'd love to get your input on this because I'm seeing right here at the top, I think he gives away his whole game. But to be honest, she kind of sucks. I think that his opinion on the bride is dictating a lot of the energy that he's bringing to this. I'm sure he would make a fuss even if he liked the person that was getting married, but I think that there is some serious just pain in the ass beef that he has with this woman. And just judging by the rest of the situation here, I'm sure it's not founded.
Well, I would go that far, but go ahead, Shan.
I'm about to defend the man, though.
Whoa, okay.
Because I think the wife is really having quite an overreaction, like screaming and crying about the fact that he won't go to her college girlfriend's wedding.
Sorry, is that, where did we get that?
She said that she's livid. She started crying.
I think she's from college. The bride is a close friend of my wife's from college.
Yeah. What did I say? I said,
well, I know, but when you worded it that way, I thought you meant like it's like they hadn't spoken, but it seems like she's still a close friend.
Either way, I don't give a shit. Like, she's being so over the top about this. I wouldn't care if like Max had something that was super important to him that he needed to go to. I'd be like, yeah, I'll bring somebody else. I don't get why this is so important that he goes to this wedding. It feels like really, really charged that she's so upset about this.
And that's where I'm wondering, because of how much weight and holy reverence he's putting on this game, I'm wondering if there's some picture painting going on, not just in her reaction, but also is he leaving out why she's reacting this way? This could be repeated crime. This could be repeated.
This could be like, I definitely understand that. And I think if that were the case, I can 100% see her being upset. Like if I was in her shoes, it's like, you do this all the time. You never prioritize my family. Like you don't like to come to any of the family events that are important to me or my friend events.
That's what I'm seeing.
That does make sense.
I think there's also the fact that he thinks he can just swap himself out. I also think it's weird to just identify her best friend Tito as gay. That seemed unnecessary and just
I thought that was okay.
I mean,
I like that he did that. I thought that was the one good thing that
I think I'm just biased against. I might just identify here. I'm biased against Boston sports fans because there's a lot of
that's fair.
There's a lot of bad track record with intolerance within that particular sect. And I'm not saying that about the entire city of Boston, but Boston sports fans can be.
People from Boston are bad. And if you're getting mad at me for saying that, you're proving me right. You take yourself way too seriously. You didn't even go to Harvard, you fucking loser. Anyway, just kidding, Boston people. I love you. But
it's Harvard.
Yeah. And no, I like that he did that. I thought he kind of gave himself a little, like he did some planning. He thought of a contingency. I thought that was
thought of an option. He thought of an option. I'll give you that.
He went and got it. He saved her some labor here. I see you, Shannon. I think it's tough for me, though, to just call her completely irrational because there's got to be something, right? Like we've got the classic, if it's hysterical, it's historical. I mean, I doubt she's that insane. And like, I don't know. Let me say this about these football guys. I feel like a lot of games are the game of a lifetime.
It's part of the marketing. It's said every season.
And does anyone talk about this game?
No, I looked up the score. It was 19-14 New England. This is a snoozer. This would have been a marginally interesting game to watch without, it's not even worth explaining the historical context. It really wasn't that big of a deal when it happened. It was just marketed like it was. And look, I love this sport, but the last time I got upset about a football game, I was 14 years old. USC played Texas in the national championship. USC lost. I got really upset. I'd been to all the home games for USC that season. And I recognized at that age, I never want to have this emotional reaction to a game ever again.
Nothing turns me off more than a guy that is crying or pouting when his team doesn't win.
I don't even watch him, Shannon.
It's the biggest ick.
my
even better.
Scoring points. My typical reaction when best example I have is Lakers got swept in the against the Nuggets last year in the playoffs. My reaction to that was shoot. And then I just went on with my summer because why am I going to let this upset me?
Exactly. And Tom Brady fans are like a whole other breed. And also, didn't he retire for like 1 month?
He spent 1 month with his kids and said, nope, I want to get sacked by 400-pound men again, please.
And lose Giselle along the way.
Yeah.
Isn't that why they got it?
Yeah, she gave him an ultimatum and he went back on it. And then the Buccaneers were so mediocre. He lost his family to just have one of the worst seasons of his career. It was a terrible mistake.
I think this is a tough one to read. I think we're kind of bouncing around some info here, but let's go ahead and let's read a comment. Poe Adam, YTA. It doesn't matter how much you like this friend of your wife's or how well you know her. This is part of being married. You go to events because you are a good partner, not necessarily because you really want to go yourself. Which I think that's pretty spot on. But I would say the first sentence, it kind of does matter, though. And I think, Shannon, you're being reasonable. And, there's going to be certain weddings and it kind of depends on how long you've been together, too. If it's, the third wedding or as a couple, it's you're already trying to bail.
Personal rule for me, there's, everybody's tired. Everybody's got their own stuff going on. I think it's always okay to sort of put up a boundary with your partner and be like, hey, I'm gonna miss this thing that you got going on. If it's a casual thing, it's a casual, we're doing a trivia night or whatever, of I'm gonna sit this one out. Weddings have always kind of been a sacred one for me. If Jackie, I don't care if I don't know them at all. If Jackie's invited and she's got a +1, I'm there. That's part of the deal. You're going to the wedding with your partner. That's sacred law to me.
It's pretty hard. And if this, like I said, if this had a personal element, I could be a lot more swayed, but it's bro, record the game and watch it later, dog.
Even going to the stadium. That's the part where you lose me. If you had tickets for, a full year leading into this, and I think he kind of tells on himself too, where he forgot when the wedding was and he didn't pay it. He didn't think about when the game was going to be. I don't think this was ever that important to him. I think in the moment it was, because he saw all the advertising.
Well, he said the NFL schedule wasn't out yet.
It wasn't out yet, but he forgot when the wedding was. So if this was the most historic game of the year, he would have been dialed in as to what am I doing on that day. And he wasn't, because it was ultimately just a day to watch football, and that got infringed on him. And I really don't jive with other football fans who, like, the first week of the season, sure, you want to keep your schedule clear, but if you have a wedding that week, tough cookies, kid. You're going to that wedding.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if it was something else, like not an NFL game. What's like another good example that it could have been?
If his brother was graduating from the Marines, sure. Or a Marine basic training, like something like that. Something where it's like, I can't miss this. This is for family. Yeah. But instead it's like, I want to see cranky old Bill Belichick and tight-faced Tom Brady have a football game together.
He really had nothing here. He had the fact that he was a Brady fan. I'm like, no, bro, you're not missing anything, really. Like, watch it the next day on like TiVo or whatever.
I will give him 1 point. My least favorite thing to see at weddings is dudes watching games on their cell phones.
I know. I see that all the time.
I cannot wrap my head around that kind of just, I need it. I need to see this on this tiny little square.
Rude.
And just unfulfilling too. Like, what are you getting?
Get up on the fucking dance floor.
I didn't get on the dance floor at this wedding, and I'm mad at myself about
it.
I want to take a dancing class because I'm tired of being afraid of it. It annoys me, but I feel like I'm really bad at dancing.
Well, sometimes you just gotta take the leap, you know? It's like getting on stage. Sometimes you're just like, well, I'm scared as hell to do this, but I just got to get up there and start.
Yeah.
And if you own it, you can be a fun, bad dancer and everybody still has a good time.
And also,
with it
nobody's ever looking at like men to be good dancers.
I might be the one cat, because I agree with you. Yeah. I might be the one exception to that rule because I take up so much space.
Yeah.
Everybody sees me because I'm not good at dancing, and everybody's just like, that, my lord, that very large man seems to be imitating a goose.
Yeah.
What's he doing up there?
AITA for choosing football game over wedding. I think we agree. YTA. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/AITA pod. Listen and share the pod with Spotify.
And give us a review, please. 5 stars.
Check us out on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Reels, everywhere. Here is Shannon.
AITA for not wanting to go watch my daughter cheerlead at football games. My husband and I have 3 children, 10F, 14F, and 17M. We are a pretty athletic and active family. My husband and I both have coached soccer since we graduated college, and all 3 of our children play soccer competitively, and the older 2 also play for their high school. Combined, they all play basketball, tennis, and track. Well, my 14-year-old decided she also wanted to try out for high school cheerleading. Thankfully, most of her cheerleading will be on Friday nights for the football games, so she can do her fall sports as well. The only issue is that Fridays for the past few years have been the only evening my husband and I can really see each other and spend time together. So we don't plan on going to every single football game to watch our 14-year-old cheer. We will go to every competition and quite a few home games. We went to the last 2 and enjoyed our daughters cheering and having fun, but there will be some Fridays that we want to spend at home. My daughter thinks that since we go to every home and away game for other sports, we should also come to every home and away game for football to watch her cheer. This is where I might be the asshole. I don't think just cheering at a game is the same as a cheerleading competition or a game that she herself is playing in. She got angry at my husband, and when I told her we aren't going to be there this Friday, there were tears and door slamming, and she accused us of only caring about soccer. While we both coach soccer, my husband and I have been extremely supportive and encouraged our kids to do whatever activity or sport that makes them happy. AITA?
Do y'all think that the parents are potentially setting too high of a bar with this policy of attending every single game?
Definitely. I think that this is setting a a really terrible precedent for yourself, because now this is what the kids expect. This is how the kids are receiving their love from you, is that you're going to be there at every single game. And it just seems like you're setting yourself up for failure.
So you guys know I'm pretty hardline about this. Kids deserve equal treatment. Now, I don't think we need to get accountants and spreadsheets here. We're talking about emotions. Do things feel equal? And I got to say, I think, Shannon, that you nailed that if this is a lot of the way the love is being sent, then how the fuck else are they supposed to match it? It also seems like they're very in on soccer, which is hard to ding them for, but they both coach soccer. So it's kind of like they're not even really close, because like she's actually expecting a lot less, right? If they coach, I'm not exactly clear. We've both coached soccer since we graduated college. All three of them play soccer competitively. Oh, and then so on top of that, the 14-year-old does cheerleading. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. I don't know. That's kind of shifting me a lot here. I kind of thought that because I kind of thought that they're all soccer players.
Yes.
So it's almost like she's trying to get more out of them now that she's doing cheerleading on top of soccer. She's doing this family does a lot.
That's a very busy family.
They're also going to home and away games for basketball, tennis, and track.
That
too.
part's crazy. Like I played a very limited amount of sports growing up, but anytime it was an away game, I was just like, no, parents.
Oh my God. I never even thought in my mind that they would be there for away games.
I wasn't good at sports either, so I was cool when they missed the home ones too.
Honestly, same. Like I wasn't that good either, so I never wanted people to come. I mean, I'm still that way when I'm performing, like even doing my comedy stuff. I'm like, I don't want anyone there. Nobody come. Because then I'm like okay with not being good.
And I had a few friends on the cheer team when I was in high school, and the attitude that they had towards it, they were still enthusiastic and loved doing it. But the football games were kind of, I remember them being like, it's kind of just practice for us. We're not even doing our stuff. Like they'll do some of their stunts and their formations there, but they all kind of were like, do we really have to be here? They had made it fun, but it was kind of like, whatever.
You're kind of also like the cheerleaders are also a little bit of like, they're almost like audience members that are getting the audience riled up.
Yeah.
They're like party starters of like, let's go. Like they're watching the game too and they're cheering them on. So they're not really like I kind of understand what OP's saying by like it doesn't really compare to when they're playing tennis.
But
that was the top comment. They were dinged. I tread on the grounds rights. YTA, because of how you're framing it. You didn't say, quote, this is the only free evening we have, so we will not always be able to come. You framed it as this is not important. You are being dismissive about her cheerleading, that it's not like other sports.
Yeah. I think there actually was an edit that said that she didn't say that to her daughter, though.
I think what I'm realizing about this family, just, they're really doing the most. I also feel like probably just kind of comes with the territory that these kids are feeling some competitiveness among them. It seems like competition
that's a read there,
is
Mr.
in the
Vega.
blood.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a little bit maniacal. Because like I also don't feel like that away game thing, it doesn't even feel supportive. It feels a little gross to me. It feels like you need to back off a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. The pressure that mounts under that of you're suddenly that that feeling of being under observation at all times almost. Is it supporter? Are they taking notes and in the car ride home of like you gotta be quicker off this play, you gotta that's interesting.
It's a lot. It's a full court press. Thank you. I know sports.
I do think that the simplest way to kind of handle this and maybe offer an olive branch, be there for the first one, be there for homecoming, make a point to show up to the ones, because like those games and maybe a rivalry game, cheerleaders are going to have a lot more to do. They're going to be doing more. They're more of a focal point. They're more involved. If you're, going to the second or third game of the season, which is usually like a warm-up game where, you get a worst team to come in, you get to beat up on them a little bit, build up your team's confidence, run plays.
Really?
That's kind of it's more common in college football, but high school football
they can plan that though.
Yeah, it'll usually. I remember my high school. We had there was this one school that was like a brand new high school that we intentionally scheduled them for. It was, I think for us it was our homecoming games, because they only had like 20 people on the football team and it was a brand new school. So they just didn't have the foundation to make them really competitive.
Gotcha.
So what I'm saying is that there's probably some games where you can have an honest conversation with her of like, we have a lot of stuff going on. We want to support you. So you tell us which games do you want us to be at? And give her that knowledge of, hey, we will come to support you. We want you to know everything that you're doing is important to us. We just realistically can't be there for all of them.
Especially because it's on a Friday night and those are our date nights usually. Like I think just try and level with them. And it's like it has nothing to do with the fact that, you know, I think she went about it wrong. I think she should have gone with that angle more and not the kind of like saying that it was not a sport. But I just also think that they should not be going to every single one of these games.
That's where I'm at.
The bar is so high.
It's the bar's high. It's creating pressure. It's also you're honestly like, if you guys only have one night where you can do a date night, like doesn't seem unreasonable. But like, what about time with yourself? Time with your friends? Do you got anything going on? Because I feel like you don't. And I don't think that's healthy. And I actually think that's probably putting additional stress and going to lead to additional problems. Y'all need to back the fuck off.
Yeah.
This is too much.
Ease up.
These kids need to develop autonomy. I'm sorry, a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old, maybe the 10-year-olds I could be a little bit more like fine, but like these are like adolescents. You don't need to be at every fucking game.
The away game thing is crazy to me because we would always bus to the games as
you
a
have
team.
some away games too that are way the
really
fuck out
far
there.
away.
Hours away.
Yeah.
It's like, and I just think it's unhealthy. And, you know, I have a listener that we talk a lot, and she's always telling me like, it's so important to maintain friendships. I think it's so big, and it's so easy when you have kids to let that fall away. Cause they're your family and they're important, but like you are important, and you being healthy and like being in a space where like, you don't have to be a parent or a fucking partner.
And it's not your entire identity.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I think friends are really important for adults, for everyone, because like there's just a lot less pressure and like you can just fuck around. Like you don't need to be a responsible person with your friends, you know? Like it's a big thing.
It would be wild if they showed up in coach mode with their friends too. Like they go bowling and it's just like, you got to get that 7-10, son. You got to get that split. I ain't come here to lose to those suckers 2 lanes down.
AITA for not wanting to go watch my daughter cheerlead at football games. I think these people are trying really hard. I'm trying to see the best in them, but like I do think there's something stinks here.
Devaluing it so heavily too when everything else is so important.
What if it was an art class? Like what if it just was not sport related? Or like I'm trying to think of something else.
One of these kids is going to become an improv comedian.
There we go. That's the example.
You have
Perfect
to go
example.
To all of their like indie shows.
Yeah.
So brutal.
Yeah.
You're going to be under a Taco Bell before you know it.
Yeah, that's ASU reference. I was going to say, we're not going to the Triple Crown. Let us know when you're playing the UCB main stage, okay? Those are dated references.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
Super inside baseball.
Nice. Yeah.
Inside football.
No, inside baseball.
And I'm wearing a basketball hat.
I know we're really not.
Sports.
Sports. AITA for not wanting to go watch my daughter cheerlead at football games. I think we are saying YTA.
YTA.
I mean, it's soft. I can soften it because I think
they're trying their best.
They're super parents, but it's like you're being too much.
You're right.
I think she just went about it in the wrong way and start setting some better precedents, I'd say.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Share the episodes on Spotify. Rate us on Spotify. Listen to the pod on Spotify. And don't fucking come at me with that Apple Music bullshit. You guys got a friend who has Apple Music? What a nightmare that is. Oh, well, I'm happy we don't share any music. I always be sharing my friend and he I got Apple Music.
Jackie's in the bushel. Not a fan of it. Yeah. Not crazy about it. I'm on the green and black team myself.
I tried to use it. I thought it was one of the worst apps I've ever used.
Go off.
I can't believe Apple made it. Apple, what are you doing?
We
call that an iPhone 15? I call that an iPhone 13 SS. Fuck you. Yeah.
Cosmic crisp, Fiji at best.
No, don't bring in the apples I love to this, Jake. By the way, I got a Honey Crisp recently. Fuck that. Cosmic Crisp is the way to go. There's an acidity there. I don't like it. Fix it, Honey Crisp. AITA for not watching my sister's dog so I could go to a football game. My 32F sister, 28M, and her husband went to visit her in-laws over Thanksgiving for 5 days and took a red eye back home on Saturday night. She asked me to stop by and check on her dogs each day and gave me $100. I told her, okay, but on that Saturday, I might not be able to do it, and told her to find someone else just in case. I was going to my college's rivalry game and wasn't going to be available. We live pretty close to each other, so it isn't an inconvenience, and I like her dogs. She wanted me to walk them 3 times a day and feed them twice. I did that every day until Saturday. That day, I got up early, tailgated, watched us beat our rival for only the 3rd time in 15 tries. Then went out after and celebrated. I got hammered and had assumed, and I assumed my sister found someone else. Well, she didn't. She claims I didn't tell her I was going to the game, and she assumed I was just watching the game at my house, even though I told her I was going. I woke up to calls shortly after I went to bed asking why I didn't take care of her dogs Saturday. Apparently, it was apparent no one walked them, fed them, or let them go out to the bathroom. She chewed me out and called me an asshole. Being drunk, I just hung up and turned my phone to silent. After I sobered up hours later, I called her. We had it out and she was pissed. Over the last 6 months, she still brings it up and wants her money back. I maintain it wasn't my fault and told her I'm keeping the money. AITA.
Am I alone in the feeling that I don't quite equate this guy to the Tom Brady fan? Because one, he's going to be at the stadium, and it's a tradition with his friends to be there. This seems like there's an actual emotional significance here.
And yes, 100%. I think so. I mean, yeah, he was getting drunk at the game, but you're right. This was a social thing.
I think so as well. I mean, this is what happens when you assume. What is it?
You kill your sister's dog.
Assume,
I think I got that right.
Assume. When you make an assu out of me?
An assume, yeah.
Old football term,
Exactly.
assume.
Oh, no. It's assume you make an as sue me.
Yes.
As sue me.
Assume me. You make an ass out of you and me, okay,
There it
kids?
is.
Oh.
And there seems to be a lot of assumptions going on both sides.
Oh, both sides. Okay. What's on his side?
He assumed that she got someone to watch for that day.
Yeah, there was a communication breakdown here, for sure. That goes 2 ways.
Two ways.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. One way.
We've got a 2-point conversion on the field. 1 point is they should have talked, and the other point is the other person should have talked.
Well, did he not say, quoting from the first paragraph,
Let's hear it. At least this is
I
his
told her-
recollection.
I told her, okay, but on that Saturday, I might not be able to do it, and told her to find someone else just in case.
Yeah.
Pretty clear.
But he did say, I might.
Okay, but we were talking about this. That's a kindness.
I know.
It's very much like if I'm like, hey Shan, do you wanna go walk around Echo Park Lake? You'd be like, maybe. I might.
Mm-hmm.
I might be down.
In American English, that's a hard no, Buster.
That's a no.
I suppose. I definitely think in the way that he's saying it, like, I think that is informing her. I don't think that it was being like, he literally does say, like, I'll find someone else just in case. So I definitely agree with you.
Told her to
there.
find someone else's case. I don't think she has.
I don't think that he needed to follow back up with that.
I don't think she was assuming anything. I think she was blatantly mishearing him.
In the interest of self-preservation, I think a double tap on this one would have been highly advised. To just the next day come back and say, hey, just wanted to make sure you found somebody else to cover for me on Saturday because I cannot. After you give that might, you have to give that final confirmation. I think
so
I think
too.
it's a judicious thing to do. I think it's a great thing to do, but I don't think you're an asshole if you don't. It's not on me to double tap. I ain't got to do diligence for your dog.
Right.
Dog due diligence, that's for you.
I just think that it was probably more on her to follow up with that than it was on him. But I think if I were him, I would have followed up as well.
Yeah. I think that when a living creature is involved, it's sort of somebody needs to do it.
Yeah, you kind of have to take
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. Double checking never hurt nobody. Do we got a phrase about double checking? I feel like there's not a lot of phrases about it. Nobody ever talks about it.
Actually, there is one from football from a State Farm ad campaign. The discount double check from the Aaron Rodgers State Farm ad campaign. That's for like 5 people who listen to this show.
There we go.
Well, I mean, we do say check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, we got that one.
Double
There
check
it
yourself
is.
before you double wreck yourself. How
Double
about that?
There's
tap
that
from
too.
Zombieland. That was a catchphrase.
Oh, yeah, because you shoot the zombie twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or double mint gum twins.
What's that?
You don't remember them?
No.
Double mint pleasure.
The double
mint
your
fun.
pleasure, double your
mint.
fun. Of double mint gum.
Shannon,
that
have you
came
been
together at the end.
have you been in a gum commercial?
I should be.
You should be in a gum commercial. That tracks for me. Mentos. Shannon could be a star for Mentos.
Let's hit him up.
Gum is so expensive these days. Anyway, I'm so old.
It is?
Yeah, it's like the gum minimum price is $2.20 now at the convenience store
Oh hell no.
for gum.
For good gum.
Anyway, look, guys, listen. I feel you. Yeah, double check. It's always a good thing. But here's how this conversation. Here, let's replay the conversation. Who wants to be the sister?
Me.
Okay. Yeah, no, sis. I totally got you. I totally got you. I'll definitely take $100.
$100.
Yeah, I got it.
$25 a day. No, actually, that's $20 a day.
Yeah,
Even
no,
worse.
it's no problem. You know, it's right by me. But there's one thing. On Saturday, I'm going to my rivalries, the college rivalry game. You know, the one that we lost 12 times. Or sorry, how many times we lost?
12 out of 15 times.
We've lost 12 out of 14 times.
There it
this
is.
15th. This could be something special. So I ain't gonna be
Okay.
there.
You're definitely
Saturday.
not going to be there? Or did
Saturday.
You say you might not
Oh,
be there?
well, what I wanted to say is Saturday, I might not be able to do it. So I'd find someone else just in case.
Okay.
Did you tell her we're drinking? Hey,
What that? Tommy, relax.
did you tell her we're drinking?
She knows we're drinking.
Okay, because she should know that.
No, she knows.
Okay,
Bye, sis.
go Bulldogs.
Okay, bye.
That's on her. That was evidence. I don't know why that
Ironclad. Book
that
it.
convinced me more.
I think so too.
Right?
Yeah.
That's her
When you
fault.
put it that
Because
way.
he said find someone else just in case. Yes,
That's
it's
on her.
you, sis. You
And then
fucking idiot.
She's gas. Oh,
I'm
shit.
getting mad all of a sudden.
I love it.
Shannon getting hot and worked up.
AIT. Wow, it was crazy that reenactment, which was
It worked.
so fucking stupid, just got us all on the same page. AITA for not watching my sister's dog so I could go to a football game. We wholeheartedly agree. NTA and she is.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we are going to wrap things up. Please share and review the podcast on Spotify, the greatest podcast and music platform as far as I'm concerned, people. Not even close. Don't be a freak like Shannon.
Me too. I'm going to switch over
You're gonna switch?
immediately.
That's what I like to hear.
Although I'm getting Apple for free right now. So after that's
Yeah.
up, I'll go to
No,
Spotify.
if it's free,
Yeah.
but if you're gonna spend your
I'm not
hard-earned
paying for
money-
it.
I'm not paying for that.
That's illegal.
That's why I got stuck in the Apple system. It was free for 3 months.
Yeah.
Ugh, but now I'm free of that and on Spotify.
Free as a bird.
There's no way that's a song.
Yes, it
Is it a
is.
song?
That's Freebird, dog. You don't know Freebird?
I didn't. No, I know Freebird. I didn't
that's
hear I didn't hear it in how
As
Shannon
a
was singing
bird.
it.
Oh,
No,
excuse me.
She sung it terribly.
I sung it.
Your defense.
P perfect.
No,
Pitch perfect.
You're Miss P.
I am P. Sharon P.
Sharon P.
Follow me.
Rate, review, subscribe, join us on
Look at me, I'm
patreon.com/AITA pod. All right, folks, we're going to wrap things up. Here is Jacques Davi.
AITA for how I responded to my friend's wife messing up our competitive fantasy football league. I'm in a fantasy football league with my old college pal. We're all in our 30s and have had this league going since college. 3 years ago, we need another guy to play, so we asked my half-brother to join in. He's very into fantasy, and he won the league his second time out. The league manager, the guy who sets everything up and reviews the trades, Mike, has always been a pushover when it comes to his wife, but that never had an impact on the league. Till this year. Mike's wife, Melissa, who has never taken an interest in football before, has now decided to shoehorn herself into the league. To make this happen, Mike kicked out my half-brother because he is 20, so he didn't make the cut. It's a weird age for adults to be worried about.
You're out.
Baby. A lot of us were wary on Mike, including Melissa. This is a $200 buy-in, so it's not exactly amateur hour. But Melissa thought it sounded fun, so Mike replaced my brother with her. The first instance of bullshit was when Melissa agreed to a trade, and a week later, after it was processed and the games had been played, decided she didn't like that trade. So Mike reversed it. He said, be nice to her, she's new, when people texted the group chat and said, that was crap. I got involved. I was tied for first place with another friend. This past week, I lost and the other guy won, giving him sole possession of first place. The guy I was tied with just barely beat Melissa. Basically, the other guy won because she didn't check or set her lineup. I sent a text in the group chat about this and got a response from Melissa. Oh my God, I was so busy with work. I just forgot to check. It takes 1 minute to open the app and change the lineup. She had no time to do that at all this week. I texted Mike a paragraph about Melissa ruining the integrity of the league. I told him I was right from the beginning, that she would eventually get bored and stop participating. I told him it's his responsibility to make sure she sets her lineup and is actively participating. Because he has no spine, he said Melissa doesn't want him interfering with her team. I told him that nobody in the league other than him wanted Melissa to play. Well, because Mike is whipped, he showed Melissa my paragraph text to him. She texted me saying that I'm being mean to her and she's just trying to have fun with the guys and get to know them more. I told her that a $200 fantasy league isn't the place for it, and if she cared to fix it, she would transfer ownership to my brother and he will play out the rest of the year. I wasn't mean about it. I just said she clearly doesn't really care about this. Now Melissa doesn't want me at their house anytime soon, and Mike thinks I owe her an apology. It's a competitive league that's been going on for over a decade. It's not the setting to make Mike's wife feel included. She can go to a bar with us if that's what she wants. AITA?
What do you mean I'm not allowed at your house?
Yeah, that's... You make the best pretzel dip. The best pretzel dip. I want it. That's funny if he says like, I actually like you, Melissa. You're screwing this up for us.
This is kind of a tough one.
I think I know the answer to this, but just to check, have either of you ever played fantasy football?
No, I wanted to make one joke about that though, because it says 3 years ago we need another guy to play, so we asked my half brother to play. He's very into fantasy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like a guy's like, what? Fantasy football? I love dragons, wizards. Is that?
Well, typically I'm a D&D fella, but I reckon I can wrap my head around this here numbers and cents game. Yeah. And this is clearly what's going on here. I had some runs in fantasy football, primarily as a way to keep in touch with friends that lived in other places. That's the main reason why I think most people play it, or to socialize at work. I have never played in a $200 buy-in.
Okay, that was actually it's 200.
Yeah,
200.
That's a lot.
What's a norm? What's
the league that I played in was $60, and you could win some serious money at the end of the year a couple of different ways. You didn't have to win the whole thing to get the whole payout. There was it was like gambling. There was a couple of different weeks you could win where you got your money back or whatever. And it was enough money where it's like, okay, I can walk out with $400 or whatever, and it's like, that's a good nice chunk of change when you're in your early 20s. But $200 raises the stakes so
because
high.
that means the pot is going to be like thousands of dollars.
It's going to be
how
way
many
up.
join. How many are usually in a league?
I think the magic number is 12, but it's possible to go up to 14. I never go past 12.
So it's at least $2,000.
Yeah, it could be
if
up
you
that
win
high.
first place.
Yeah, and
Pretty good.
That's a fair chunk of change.
The money's
usually
real.
Second place has another one, and then usually third is you
third,
get
you
your
break
money
even.
back, right?
Yeah, that's typically how
so
they'll
then
do
it's
it.
probably about like $2,000 probably.
That's a fair chunk.
Serious money. And if this league has been going on for 10 years, that is a lot. I can understand the emotional investment you've put here, but I'm not on the side of hardcore fantasy football people. My least favorite thing about the sport is people taking it too seriously, but this is clearly really important to this group. So as outsiders to all this, what are your takes on how seriously this guy's taking it?
I mean, I think it's fair to be frustrated that somebody's not taking the game as seriously as you. And like one scenario I can think of that this happened to me was we were doing intramural volleyball, and one of my friends, we didn't know each other well at the time. She actually ended up becoming my roommate, but I didn't know her well. This was like one of our first really hanging out, and she like had smoked with our friends. So she was like super stoned, and I was just like, she was barely going for the ball. It would be like, like that. And I was getting really frustrated because I was like, we're here to play. Like, and the more you're messing it up, we cannot play. Like, you're literally missing the ball. So it's basically making like almost every play that goes to you, we're barely getting any volleys across.
And there wasn't any hustle. There wasn't any. She
nothing.
She didn't care about being
wasn't moving
there.
for it at all. And so that's how I can kind of feel that this is going. It's like you're ruining the integrity of the game. We're not able to play the way that we would want to be playing. And you're not taking it seriously. And it's silly. You can just say, yeah, it's a fantasy football league. Like it's it's so stupid. It's whatever. Like have your opinions about it that you want. But when you're all taking something, everybody else is taking it seriously at the same level, you should just expect that everybody that's playing is doing that.
Absolutely. And I think you're right on it there, where I'll take it. We just made a joke about D&D. I'll take it to that interest that I have. If you're at a table with a bunch of people who are having a lot of fun and invested in the story and taking it seriously, and you have one jerk who's just kind of like, yeah, I just stabbed that guard, and isn't taking it seriously, and like, and
you can't stab the guard.
Well, if you do, then in the concept of the story, now you're going to be chased by guards. You could wind up in jail, and if the party's doing something else that doesn't involve stabbing that guard, you've made it all about yourself. And that is kind of what Melissa has done here.
Why do I want to do this now?
Oh yeah, no, now the wheels are turning.
I want to sit there for like an hour and be good, and then just fucking ruin the D&D game.
Now sometimes that's the best player if you do it right. But I digress. I think the biggest crime here in terms of fantasy football sins, the taking the trade back after a game had already happened, when there's this much money on the table, that's called collusion. And that's sort of an inside joke in fantasy football is like, oh, you guys are working together so that you can win the pot. But that is literally what's happening here. A player didn't like a trade that was committed to and happened a week prior, and the husband of that player redacted the trade. That's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's cheating.
It's straight up cheating.
That's cheating.
Her not changing her lineup, that's happened in almost every league I've played in. There's always somebody who forgets all the time and is like, hey, Ricky, why did you play the tight end who broke his leg 3 weeks ago? I thought he was due. Like that happened.
Yeah.
So that's one that
usually it's like not a good thing, but in this case it was.
Well, in this case, it was a good thing for the guy who took first place from OP, which is why he's so upset. And again, when there's this much money on the table, leaving aside the emotional investment you have with your friends and sort of that annoying. Also, like, your brother got kicked out of the league and he was serious about playing in it.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Is that because that really, I could hang the whole case on that.
Yeah,
honestly, I was a little confused at how that played out, because to make this happen, Mike kicked out my half brother.
Yeah, because Melissa took the spot.
Well, I think all these charges too, because I'm like, this trade thing, I could see it flying in a certain context, but it's just like, basically she's there to fuck around. And like, that's just not the vibe. And honestly, the detail that really sold me was the 10 years. These guys have been doing this for a while. You gotta respect that.
Yeah.
You gotta respect that. And to have somebody else kicked out, and it really does seem, now we have a case against Mike, actually. He might be the biggest asshole.
I agree with
that.
He
kicked out the half brother and then reversed his trade. He's actually really abusing his role as the league manager.
And I think I love that point, because something about this didn't sit right for me. And I think it's because I have a hard time being super harsh on Melissa, because I don't think she really gets how important this is to these guys. And OP doesn't do himself any favors. He uses some kind of shitty verbiage. Whipped is something that I always kind of raise an eyebrow at when a dude uses it. But yeah, Mike is kicking the brother out because he's 10 years younger than the dudes. Sorry, he's really good at it. Keep that guy in the league.
Whipped is shitty, but it's kind of apt. And I actually think that when you say, the thing is when people say whipped, they usually mean like, oh yeah,
devoted.
His what?
Devoted.
Yeah,
that's usually
exactly,
what whip
exactly.
means.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
His wife made him go to a wedding. Tom Brady.
He likes hanging out with her or whatever.
Tom Brady's walking by this corner later, and the wife made him leave. But like, in this case, I'm like, it actually is like kind of bad for everyone. Like, there is an integrity to this. This is like a meaningful social thing that these guys have done for 10 years. I do think it's time to grow up and play a real game, but that's their business. They do it. They love it. And because this wife, and I think her intent was actually good.
I agree.
I could give that to her because she doesn't know. How the fuck is she supposed to know?
She wanted to get to know this group of dudes.
Yes.
And maybe she should have met him more on their level, but I'm not that worried about that at this point.
Well, it sounds like he was such a pushover that he didn't just say like, oh, hey, babe, I think that would be great, but like this is kind of a serious thing. This isn't the right thing for that.
Yeah.
And
it was up to the husband.
He also could have very easily, people who like playing fantasy football this much are always down to have another league, just to have another team to mess around with and try a different strategy in your draft or whatever.
Maybe do another fantasy with you and your wives or your girlfriends.
Yeah,
and include them in, and it doesn't have to be quite as intense. It can be like a lower buy-in, like $25, $50, something like that.
Right.
$20 is great because you don't care if you lose that money, and you can really goof around. If you have a jokester in the league who's not that good and forgets to set their lineup, you never care because it's $20.
Right. I was going to make that point about like, that she wants to do this to bond with them. And it's like, well, you're not doing a very good job. Like if you really wanted to bond with them, like you would probably take it more seriously. But as you were saying, I think it's up to her husband to have like kind of laid that groundwork.
Yeah.
I think exactly. AITA for how I respond to my friend's wife messing up our competitive fantasy football league. I actually do think I kind of am laying this down on Mike. I actually feel like this was his boundary to kind of lay out and be like, hun, I don't think this is the one. And then it's actually, I feel like she's having these, she has no idea how serious this is.
Right.
So her whims of being like, oh, can you undo my trade? I didn't like it. It's like, that's perfectly understandable for someone to say something like that.
Yeah. But it like, there's a lot of money on the line that you're like straight up cheating. He should not allow that.
That's the thing. I kind of like Mike, bro. You got to like grow a spine here, dog.
And I think that you are guilty of collusion that directly benefits your wife. Like there's a dings around the board, and I can understand anyone who's listening to this and being like, why is everybody getting so upset about this silly fantasy football thing? Everyone has something that they do with their friends that's really important to them. And anyone coming in, we were talking about at the top of this, but that's what I'm coming back to ultimately. If you come in as a guest to that, and don't take it seriously, you're fighting an uphill battle.
It would be like if I had someone on the pod as a guest, which is a friend, which is something we've obviously done. And at some point we were trying to figure out a verdict and they were just like, yeah, I don't really care. I just want to hang out with you guys. I would be like, that's the only thing you can't say. Like, don't say that. Like you have to care.
Yeah, here's a comment, NTA, but it's important to be clear about this. Mike is ruining the league, not Melissa. Melissa is your classic casual who doesn't take it seriously. Mike is the commish and is responsible for the integrity of the league and of the competition. Your primary beef should be with him. Then OP writes back, yeah, you're right. This is all happening because Mike is allowing it. That's why I texted him saying he needs to step in.
Think we all agree on this one, gang. It's NTA.
Yay.
Guys, that's the football app. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Let's go Broncos.
Shannon, we were fucking on pitch.
Yeah,
Really?
That was cool.
You can't even tell? That was sick.
I feel bad because I want to do my Let's Go Broncos thing, but that was great.